This is
Podcasting. Hello and welcome back to the Star Wars Network podcast. Now this is...
Podcasting.
My name's Luke,
And my name's Dino.
and today we are talking about the Star Wars sequels.
All of the Disney-owned Star Wars films.
Yeah, so not just the sequels, everything post-Disney Star Wars.
So
Yeah.
all the spin-off movies, the TV shows, all
Yeah.
that jazz.
Yep.
So tell me, Duan, how do you think it's gone thus far?
Not bad. I think they've done... Actually, you know what? They could use some improvement.
Okay. Tell me why.
The Last Jedi.
Okay, yeah.
So I know you liked The Last Jedi.
I love
And
The Last Jedi.
That's fine. I liked some aspects of The Last Jedi,
Mm-hmm.
but just the narrative for me wasn't there.
Okay, yeah.
The plot. What do you think?
I love The Last Jedi so much.
So why, like, what specifically about it do you like?
I like the fact that it's the first Star Wars film with a great director. Like, all the hours... No.
What do you mean?
All the other Star Wars films,
Yeah.
are great because they're Star Wars. Because they're Star Wars. They're not great films per se. Like, none of the technical aspects are astounding. Like, you watch
Right.
the first, the originals.
I think you're like a movie buff.
Yeah.
You're into like the directors and all that, so you appreciate that side of it more.
With The Last Jedi, I love how unexpected it is. Most of the Star Wars films, it follows a set formula.
Yeah.
Whereas The Last Jedi was willing to take risks, was willing to do things that were unexpected, where you didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I felt that was refreshing, where it's like, oh, it's not going to just be Empire Strikes Back again. It's not going to be a story I've already heard.
Yeah.
This could go into different places. And like, I like that. Like, I like the fact that I don't know what's going to happen.
No, yeah. Yeah, no, it's not like I wanted The Last Jedi to be Empire Strikes Back again. Like, I'm open for different things. I just didn't like the things that they did,
Okay, yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, fair enough. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I know people dislike... The main things people dislike about Last Jedi
Is
are
the treatment of Luke, right?
Luke,
That's a big one.
the parents of Rey, and the...
I think the
What's her
whole
name? Rose.
Finn and Rose storyline, even Poe's arc wasn't that strong. I didn't find it to be that strong.
Poe, right, yeah, Poe, Dameron.
Like with General Holdo and all that stuff.
Yeah, those seem to be the four... Oh, and Leia, using the Force.
Oh, when she's like in space.
Yeah, I think those seem to be, in my understanding of monitoring Twitter.
I think the big one is Luke.
Like, I get why people are upset about it.
I think because, you know, he's supposed to be the next generation, right? Of the Jedi. Like, he was
Yeah.
supposed to be different to the people who came before him, like Obi-Wan and Yoda and all that. Like, he was supposed to break that chain of failure, right? And then it's just gone. Like, he went into that same cycle. They gave him the same arc as Yoda, basically, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you didn't like that for Luke?
No, I don't think it suited him. And I know Mark Hamill agrees with that as well. Yeah.
I just think that, like, if you look at the character of Luke, I feel like it makes sense for him to get basically a washed up hippie.
Right.
Like, the archetype of what Luke is basically King Arthur. Yeah? He's this young boy, he finds a magic wizard who gives him a sword, he becomes king.
Yeah.
And then the end of King Arthur is that he just becomes, like, disillusioned from the world and becomes, like, a has-been. I just like the fact that he is this washed up person who is, like, his failures stem from the Jedi. Because he still adheres to the principles. He basically wants to restart what happened with
I guess, yeah.
the Jedi.
If you look at it like that, that could have been, that's his flaw, right? He tried to do everything the same. That's why he was so obsessed with the old Jedi texts, right?
Yes.
And that's why Yoda bops him on the head.
Yeah. And on a side note, that's one of the reasons why I love the prequels.
I love that scene.
Yeah.
The Yoda scene. I thought that was really good.
Back to a Muppet.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the really interesting things about the prequels.
Yeah.
The prequels don't do it well, but they do imply that the Jedi aren't as good as what we assume them to be.
No,
They've got these weird celibacy laws. They're very almost emotionless. They try to detach from what's actually going on.
they've lost their way. That's why Palpatine was able to deceive him, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. You know, in episode 1, when Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan go to Tatooine, and young Anakin goes up and says, "Are you going here to free the slaves?" And they're like, "No." If they were good...
That's not their job, right?
That's not their job.
That wasn't a mission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you were a good person, you would want to free the slaves. Instead, they're dedicated on one slave because they're so obsessed with this prophecy.
Yeah.
Rather than doing good, they're instead so insular.
Yeah, it's because they're attached to the Republic as well, right?
Yes.
So they've become more of a political force rather than just a force for good.
Exactly. And so, like, you get the implication that Luke wanted to restart that. And even just the Republic, we don't know too much about it.
The New Republic.
The New Republic. And it's kind of just like, you almost feel like they want to go back to that. But the
Yeah.
prequels are saying, no, that bygone era isn't as good as what we think it is.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there, but what I think it should have been different. Like,
For Luke's
there
character.
shouldn't have had to be another step for it to him go back to that. I think it should have been. He should have gone from old to new rather than the same thing. So you know how you're saying how he's tried to build the same ideals of the Jedi and all
Yeah.
that. I think that he should have.
He should have done something different.
He should have break
Yes.
through from that.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing I didn't want Luke to be was just the eternal badass.
No, I didn't want that for. Like, I expected him to die in this film.
Yes, so
Like,
did I.
I was fine with him dying, but I just wanted to see more.
Yeah. Yeah, I get what you mean. You were disappointed with where he ended up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that. Yeah.
yeah,
Because, like, you've fallen in love with his character.
yeah.
You don't want him to just be an asshole, like, which
No,
he is
Yeah,
in the film. But
Yeah.
yeah, I get what you mean. And then you've got other things, like you were saying, Rose and Finn?
Rose
yeah,
and
Rose and
Finn.
Finn's story.
Yeah.
You don't like that, do you?
no. You know what? I was fine with when I was watching the movie. I didn't have a problem with like their characters or anything. Like I didn't find. I know some people found her to be annoying or whatever, but I was like totally fine with her character. I just didn't like, you know, that whole Canto Bite sequence.
Yes.
Yeah, it didn't do it for me.
So what is it that you didn't like
It was
about
just
it?
useless. It just
Okay.
took up like a part of the like time in the story that just didn't need to be there.
Because this is a long movie. It's like 2 hours and 40
Yeah, it was
minutes.
What is it like? They spent like 20 minutes on that planet. It was like for nothing, basically.
I don't think it's for nothing. I think it matches really well with Rey's storyline, and even Finn's character arc. Like, the whole point of Finn...
But he just started. The whole point of Finn was that in The Force Awakens, he was only out for himself, right?
And Rey. He's
And-
not out for the Resistance, just Rey.
just him. Yeah, and Rey. But at the end of Force Awakens, like there's no character development. It was like the same story arc for him in 8.
I think it's...
Because like at the start of 8, he's like, "Nah, I'm out." There was like no character development. There was no because at the end of Force Awakens, he was like more. No, this isn't about me. This is about the galaxy and whatever. But then when we started with 8 again, he was right back where he started.
I think like his character arc is a lot more subtle because we don't really get much from him in Episode 7.
Yeah,
But I think it's just about he's mostly interested in Rey, right? He wants to help Rey. He keeps talking about wanting to meet up back with Rey.
yeah,
He's not interested in the Resistance per se.
yeah,
And the whole point of the Canto Bite scene is to say there's all this terrible shit that's happened. And his equivalent is Benicio del Toro's character, the smuggler guy,
yeah,
who is just after himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. He doesn't care if he's for the Resistance or the Empire.
Yeah.
As long as it's out for him and he gets money, he gets paid at the end of it.
yeah,
And so he looks at it and is like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to fight for the Resistance rather than just for Rey, for my
Yeah.
friends, and for myself. Like, I didn't even notice that the
It
first
was,
time I watched
it was, it was like too much on the nose for me. It was
Okay.
like a bit in your face with the whole like, look, they're selling schematics to both sides of the like war. It's like,
Yeah.
come on.
Because you don't really see all that much about class in Star Wars,
Well, you kind of do, don't you?
do you?
Like with this, there's a whole slave thing in
Yes.
the prequels.
Yes, the prequels have the slave thing, and there are shots in the there are scenes in the prequels of like high society.
Yeah,
Where you see Anakin with Palpatine in that opera, and you see that weird fish thing, and they're talking about the Darth Plagueis.
Plagueis thing.
Yes, but they kind of just show wealth. They don't really say like, oh hey, there are all these people.
Yeah.
And I think the interesting thing about the extended universe is that they do dwell on some of the class stuff. Like they mention the fact that the droids a lot of the people were banking families, and they had big trade federations and things like that. So these are the wealthy people who are disbanding.
Yeah.
Like they mentioned class there, but the rest of it, not as much. Like not in the actual films themselves.
Yeah.
Like if you didn't see any other or read any other Star Wars text.
No, there wouldn't have. There's not anything else in the movies really besides, I guess, a bit in the prequels. You see it, but it's not like a major theme that they explore, right?
So it's like interesting to see just that element of class.
Yeah.
But I get why people would say like, oh, it goes for a really long time, which I think it does, and I think it does sag the movie like in a flow sense.
It's like, yeah, it kind of brings it to a stop.
And then there is Leia using the Force.
I was okay with it if she was not in space.
Okay.
I think that if you're in space, you should die. Like, I don't care if you're like can use the Force or whatever, but if a person gets sucked into space, you should die, right? Am I wrong in thinking that?
I just think it's like the Force is so ill-defined. Like when they try to define the limits of the Force, it's kind of like dumb. That's where you get midichlorians. Whereas if you just kind of make it like this mystic, almost Buddhist force.
Yeah, but she got sucked into
Yeah,
into the vacuum of space.
And you just see her finger slowly like,
and she's
inch
like,
towards it.
It was weird. I don't know. It was weird to me.
I wonder how they're going to tangent. I wonder how they're going to use her in.
I wonder why they didn't
Just kill her.
I know it sounds bad. Rest in peace, Carrie Fisher.
I know.
But like all that's happened before. She passed away before The Last Jedi came out, right?
I think it was after it came out. I could be wrong.
I'm pretty sure it was before because when I went into it, I'm like, oh, they're just going to kill her off somehow.
They did give her like a.
Because there was like a rest in peace thing, wasn't there?
Let me look it up.
Yeah. Because I expected them to, like, that's how she was going to die. And then she, opens her eyes and, yeah.
So she died 2016.
Yeah.
A year before the film came out. Yeah, I think that might be, I don't know, maybe they just had the full story. They'd already
So do you think they're going to kill her off in Rise of Skywalker?
Yeah, so we know she's going to be in it. They're using footage that wasn't used in The Last Jedi.
In The Force Awakens, I think.
And so both of them, and they're just going to kind of stitch her in.
From what we've seen from the trailers, it looks good.
Yeah.
Like her scenes.
Because all of the films have really similar aesthetics, so it all kind of blends together.
Yeah.
But I just want to know, like, how are they going to, like,
finish her storyline?
Yeah,
like because there's no. Are they doing new dialogue for her?
No.
Like, how's that working?
Exactly. Like, I'm interested to see how that goes because obviously it's Carrie Fisher. She was like this really like wonderful human being, and so like I want to know if they're just going to say in the background she died, like in the opening crawl.
They might not, kill her off.
They may not. Maybe they don't need to.
Yeah.
That could work.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind either way. To be honest. Yeah.
I feel like I don't know how they would.
Yeah. So do you think they're gonna kill off all the old guard, like Lando as well, and Chewie?
I feel like, maybe, because like almost like a final hurrah for these characters, which is what.
Just end it.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake.
I mean, that was one of my problems with this new trilogy, is that it's so reliant on the original cast.
But it had to be, right, for it to be.
Yeah.
Well, they're continuing the story.
Yes.
It was a continuation, not a.
Yeah.
Like a reboot.
In the original draft of the script, the original layout that Disney had for the trilogy, the first film was going to be that final hurrah for them, and then the next, so that was going to be.
I don't think that would have gone over well.
Either they died or they moved on or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, and then it would have laid the groundwork for a new set of heroes, and then in this 8th and 9th film, it would just be following those new heroes. But then J.J. Abrams came in and wanted to focus a lot more on the old, and almost like a passage of it, which I think makes sense. It's almost.
I would prefer that, to be honest.
You prefer it over the whole trilogy?
Yeah, if they're gonna do a sequel, they should.
Yeah, acknowledge
it, right? Yeah. At least.
Like I'm ultimately happy with what they've done.
Yeah.
I'm a lot more upbeat about what Disney's done with them.
Yeah, a lot of people are more pessimistic about it.
Yeah. I mean, I think there are like stumbles losing the Lego Movie guys. Originally, Han Solo was going to be directed by the guys who did Lego Movie and 22 Jump Street.
Oh, were
Yeah.
they?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I love them. I think they're amazing.
What was this the Han Solo movie?
The Han Solo movie, yeah,
Yeah.
Solo.
Oh yeah, that's right. They got a new director in that.
Yeah,
didn't they?
over creative differences. They brought on
really?
Ron Howard, yeah.
Do you reckon they clashed with Lucasfilm and Disney?
Yeah, probably over just like they wanted to do something different with the character, or they didn't
Yeah.
want to, or whatever it may be. We won't ever know.
Yeah.
But it's like it's interesting to think what that movie could have been, and I think that's a clear stumble.
Yeah.
The movie was, I think, the first Star Wars, or one of the first Star Wars movies to ever lose money, and so it's clearly not like perfect.
Yeah.
But I think like overall,
I think they got too comfortable with it, to be honest.
I think they assumed it was going to make $1 billion. No
Yeah,
matter what.
they assumed because of the brand
Yeah.
that they were just gonna make money.
Yeah, and
But
like
you gotta make good movies, right?
exactly, like
And things that people are interested in. You can't just
because I remember when they were talking about doing prequel movies, they were going to
Yeah.
have the Han Solo movie and the Rogue One and a Obi-Wan Kenobi movie.
There
and,
were
like,
even talks of a Boba Fett movie,
and a
like
Boba
really
Fett
early
movie.
on.
Yeah, and you're like, I care about this.
Yeah.
Do most people care about this?
No, your average fan, I
Yeah.
guess, doesn't care about a standalone Han Solo film.
Especially if you're going to do a Han Solo movie without Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
Like, he's the main actor.
Yeah.
You're not going to have him.
I think that's what a lot of the old guard, like original trilogy people, probably didn't go and see it because of that reason.
Yeah. Because, like, even just, like, people, like, just general moviegoers like Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
They got this random
He's a good actor.
He's a good actor. He's been in other things. The actor who did Han Solo, I don't actually know his name. Like, it's
Fuck, what is his name? I know his name.
Aldridge or something? I don't know. But yeah, like, he's not famous at all.
Isn't he?
No.
You know what? He did an alright job.
No, he did a really good job. Like, he's a good actor. Alden Ehrenreich. God. Learning names today. But yeah, like, he's not, like, a movie star. So you can't just, like, have a whole film centered on him. And I think they acknowledged that by having Donald Glover, who, you know, when that film came out, he had This Is America. Atlanta was on season 2 or 3.
Yeah, he was big.
He was big.
He is big.
He's still big.
Yeah.
Okay, do you think, instead of doing a solo movie, if they had done
A Lando movie.
a Lando movie, would that
I would have
done
watched
better?
the Lando movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I did watch the Han Solo
Yeah.
but I would have been more excited for Lando because it's something like we know Han already. We didn't need to explore more of Han. Whereas Lando, he was a bit more mysterious, right? He's Han's like friend. You can tell when they meet on what's it called? What's that planet?
Bespin.
On Bespin.
Oh.
They have like a history, right?
Yeah.
So it would have been cool to explore his backstory.
Yeah, because there's so little known about him
Yeah.
outside of the extended
Yeah.
universe.
And there's some good comics.
What are some good, like, if you're interested, if you're me and you want to,
There's
like,
this like short comic span for Lando.
or is it just focused on Lando?
It's just a Lando comic.
Oh, okay.
And it's like he goes and steals like the Emperor's private shuttle and there's all this weird shit on there.
Right,
It's
right.
pretty good, you should read it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give it a read. But yeah, like, I feel like they wanted to play it safe. Han Solo was the safest movie you could have
Yeah.
made. And, like, it didn't do that well because
They thought it was a guaranteed they're gonna make money.
I get why Han Solo didn't do that well. I wonder why Rogue One did well. It made $1 billion.
It was the first Star Wars feature film that's not in the saga, right?
Yeah, there's nothing to do with the Skywalkers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a little bit. It's still joint like
It's adjacent, it's
it's
parallel.
still parallel to the story, but it was the first standalone film, right? And I think that actually the story was just more compelling.
Yes.
Like going into it, even like from the trailers and stuff, it just looked more interesting.
Yeah, especially because it's an aspect that we haven't seen before. Because again, we know Han Solo. How much more is there to him?
Yeah, he's still like fucking smart-ass smuggler guy,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Like, just the idea was intriguing on his face. Like, how did they get the Death Star plans?
Yeah.
And the whole story. I mean, I have problems with Rogue One. The main character has no personality. There has no desires or wants. She's just being led around by everyone else in the plot. She wants to
She's
kind of...
almost like a observer of what's happening, right?
Exactly, yeah. She's kind of just there because they need her for reasons relating to her father, which don't totally make sense, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, they need her Yeah, because her father was the engineer who built the Death Star.
But then why do they need her in particular?
Stardust? Question mark.
Yeah, I don't know. I think like once it gets to
The last half of the film.
once they get to the base, then it's amazing. Like, it's actually a really
On
great-
Scarif.
It's a really well done piece of just filmmaking. It's really tense and there's a lot of like
I also like that they all die.
yeah,
Like, it's like there was stakes.
yes,
Which is something that I felt that was missing from the sequels and Star Wars lately. There's no real stakes. Like, sure, they fucking blew up the New Republic, but who
Yeah.
cares? We knew nothing about them anyway.
yes,
Like, they're just a non thing, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas I actually did like some of the characters, not the main character. I didn't really care for her, but the other characters I actually did care for, and I wanted them to succeed to win out.
And then the scene at the end with Darth Vader, right?
yes,
That was amazing.
And-
That made the whole movie. I was a bit iffy on the movie up until that point. I was like, yeah, it's an okay movie. And then in that scene, it was just like, fuck, this is cool.
but yeah, and then there's obviously The Force Awakens.
I think that's just a solid movie.
Yeah, I think
Like, it's not bad. It's not amazing. It's just good.
like
It was just enough to launch the new sequels, right?
yeah, like
Yeah.
I think it gets a lot of flack now, but it's like still a good movie. You can
Oh, when
watch
it came out, there were a couple of critics, right, about, oh, this is a rehash from 4, but mostly it was viewed as good.
Yeah, I just think like as time has gone on, people have looked on it less favorably.
Yeah.
Which I think is odd. Like I think it is still a very good movie.
I still enjoy it.
Yeah. If people ask me how should I get into Star Wars, I recommend them.
You recommend the sequels?
Yes, I recommend them A Force Awakens because I think the prequels are way too difficult. You have to
Yeah.
watch the originals before you watch the prequels. It's
People are too spoiled with like new all the Avengers films and shit. It's like
yeah.
it's hard for someone that's new to Star Wars to watch the original trilogy and get into it.
Yeah, like
Right.
I love the original trilogy.
Yeah, so do I.
I think A New Hope is my favorite Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
But I just think like it's so of its time.
Yeah.
People expect big flashy action scenes.
Avengers level crap.
Yeah, and like Star Wars doesn't have that many. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, but that's why it's good, right? It's good storytelling.
Yes.
It was only like the fight like between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. It's like plot driven, right? It's story driven
Yeah.
rather than flashy. I guess that's why people have problems with the prequels because it's too flashy. Whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense for the story. Whatever.
Whereas I think people nowadays, if they're not familiar with Star Wars, if they didn't grow up watching it,
Yeah.
I think they expect it more on the lines of like The Force Awakens, which is a lot more action blockbustery, where there
Yeah.
is a big fight scene at the beginning, and throughout the whole film, there's just a lot of Jedi fights and intense.
It looks good.
It looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Space battles and Death Stars and blah blah blah. Like so, there's a lot more going on.
I think the prequels were made in an awkward time for film, right? They came out in the late 90s, early 2000s, and
Yeah.
it was like not everyone was filming on digital back then.
Yeah.
And I think Lucasfilm was kind of like a pioneer for it.
Yes.
With these films. And that's why they haven't aged as well,
Yeah.
I think.
I think some of them have aged, like I think
Revenge of the Sith has aged better than
yes.
the others.
I actually think the first, I think Phantom Menace, which I know people hate.
Yeah.
It's not like it's bad, but it's not that bad. Like it's average.
I like it, yeah.
Yeah. It's aged a lot better than the second one because the first one used a lot more sets.
Yeah.
The whole Naboo scene was filmed on a physical plane. There is a place that they filmed it at. Yeah. Whereas most of the second film is just green screens.
Yeah.
And that's the easiest thing to age because, you know, technology gets better, CGI gets better, and it's just going to look
Yeah.
more and more dated as time goes on. But yeah, like we could talk about the prequels for ages.
Yeah, no.
like their whole.
Let's
can
get
of
back
worms.
to Disney.
And then of course there's the TV shows that they've got going on, not including the Disney Plus, but the ones they've already released. So
Oh, like Rebels.
Rebels, Resistance.
Yeah.
I think those are the two ones under.
Those are the
haven't
two Disney ones.
they? Yeah. I haven't watched any of them, so take it away, Dewan. Are they good?
Rebels is like really hit and miss. It's like season 1 is shit, bad. It's hard to watch. The problem is the main character is just like the worst,
Okay.
but throughout the whole thing.
Oh.
At least I find him to be like
Yeah.
just annoying. But you know, there's some good moments. like season 2, the end of season 2 with Ahsoka and Darth Vader and all that.
Okay, yeah.
And the Thrawn stuff is good.
Oh, so there is Thrawn stuff in that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Resistance I haven't watched, and I don't want to watch. I'm over the, I'm just gonna watch the new Clone Wars season that comes out, and then I think I'm over animated series. They're just too, there's some good moments, but they're too catered for children. That's why I'm happy for the new live action stuff that's coming out on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
It's aimed for adults, right? Or at least an older audience.
I think it's just, people who like Star Wars, and they tend to skew older.
Yeah.
And then there is Star Wars video games. So at the beginning of the Disney buyout of Lucasfilm, they made a 10-year exclusive deal with EA.
Fuck's sake.
Yeah, I know. And so EA has had this license for 10 years.
And they've done nothing with it.
5 years, 5 years? Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Yeah. Oh.
They've released 2 mediocre games.
And that's it.
At least now we're getting a story-driven one with Fallen Order, Jedi Fallen Order.
Which looks okay. It looks
The gameplay looks okay. I'm just more excited for the story rather than anything else.
It's a shame because there were all these attempts to make story games.
Yeah.
Story-driven Star Wars games.
There was that one that got cancelled, wasn't there?
Yeah. So
I forgot what it was.
Amy Hennig?
But then they got cancelled. I don't know why.
Yeah, because single-player games don't sell or something along those lines.
EA's getting involved again.
Yeah. And creative differences, something or other. So then they shut down the studio.
Yeah.
And it's like...
The whole studio.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck.
And it's such a shame because she's obviously incredibly talented.
Yeah.
I really wanted to see what kind of game they would have made.
Yeah.
BioWare, they've made obviously the Knights of the Old Republic games. They haven't made anything with the Star Wars license. They've been apparently, not banned, but they've been dissuaded from pursuing anything Star Wars related.
Yeah.
Instead go down their own franchises instead.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because I want Star Wars games and I want them to be good.
Yeah.
Which is, it's been a very long time since a good Star Wars game has come out.
Yeah. Well, when was the last one? Did you play any of the Force Unleashed games?
Yes.
I played 2.
I had the first.
That's the one where he pulls the Star Destroyer out of the sky, right?
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy.
I had it on Wii though.
On Wii.
Yeah, it wasn't as pretty, but...
Would you have to shake the remote to make force things happen?
Exactly, yeah. If you wanted to do anything with your lightsaber, you had to whoosh.
Man, I love the Wii. The Wii was great.
The Wii was great.
So what do you want to see from Disney going forward?
This is sad to say, but I'm so excited for them just to finish off the Skywalker saga.
Yeah.
Because that means it forces them to do something else.
You just want something new, right?
Yes.
Yeah. You want to see a new story, them explore new ideas, stuff
we have
like
a whole universe that we could explore.
Yeah.
And instead we've been just following this one lineage this whole time.
Yeah.
Something new.
But don't you love it, Dino?
I do love it. But just something just to mix things up, which I think was the point of the spin-offs.
I see where you're coming from. I think the
What do you wanna
spin-offs,
see?
I see the spin-offs as them experimenting with... They haven't strayed too far from the main story, but they're kind of experimenting with how people react to them.
Yeah.
And I think they got a bit scared with Solo.
But yeah, that's what I hope. What about you?
Yeah. Again, I'm sad that it's ending, but also glad. I like to see Old Republic stuff, something cool. To explore the Sith more, and how that all began and all that stuff. What else? I like to see a standalone Darth Vader movie.
Okay.
Live action. Imagine what we got in Rogue One, that little 30-second clip of him just wrecking cunts, wrecking people. And imagine that, but a movie.
Right.
And he's just, doing shit in the Empire, killing rebels, investigating stuff, just doing his thing.
Okay, yeah. Maybe that'll be the next TV show.
Yeah.
Maybe after they finish Kenobi, they'll go on to The Adventures of Darth Vader.
Yeah. No, just a one-off, a standalone.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think that could work. People would watch that. We'll end on this, I guess. What's your overall feeling? What's your overall gauge of how it's going?
I'd give them a B+.
A B+?
Yeah, I think it's they've had some down movements, but I think overall it's solid effort.
It's been solid, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would say around the B as well. Yeah, I like most of what they're doing. I had my problems with 8. I still liked aspects of it, but I just want to see Rise of Skywalker now.
Yeah.
See what happens.
I'm so looking forward to it, and this ticket's still on out.
I
I'm
know,
so
we're
nervous.
trying to buy the midnight screening tickets, and they haven't released them here yet.
Fuck. I hope they have a midnight screening.
They must. It's
they
the
have
last
to.
fucking one. We've
Yeah.
been to every new Disney Star Wars movie that's come out. We've been to every single midnight screening.
I'm destroyed the next day. I'm like so tired.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been Disney and Star Wars.
Yeah. Well, thanks for listening to the Star Wars Network podcast. Now, this is...
Podcasting.
I've been Luke.
And I've been Dino.
Make sure to go and subscribe to our Instagram. You'll find us, just search Star Wars Network. And we'll see you next week. Bye.